Welcome to Ring Talk, Series 2, Episode 5, 6. We going with that?
Yeah,
somewhere around there. We've been on a break again. Steve's been away in Turkey. Diaries haven't aligned, but we're back. We're back.
We are. Before we start, and I haven't told you this yet, we've got a new title fight to announce. It's not out yet, but we'll announce it first on here. It's for September. William Webber, Chris Davis. Obviously, Chris Davis pulled out twice 10 days before, so obviously didn't want and didn't want to reschedule it. So obviously didn't want it. William Webber against Max Lovell.
Oh, okay. Max is fighting this weekend, isn't he?
It's his warm up, and then he's his second one back, and then he's fighting William Webber on the 24th of September at your call for the Southern Super Middleweight title.
I'm a fan of Webber, but yeah, I remember because Max was training down near Bedford Football Club.
That's right.
And Kev was doing some work with him down there. I used to go down there and do a bit with him. Down at that Lonsdale gym near.
That's it, with Louis Lamour. That's right.
Yeah, I like Max. He's a good lad, but yeah, no, good. That's a good fight. That if Max comes back and looks okay.
Prediction.
Webber points.
Okay. That's going to be the first of many predictions you're going to have to give tonight. So
there you go. I'm not going to sit on the fence anymore, even though I know there's a fair few coming up. I'm like, I don't want to give predictions, but whatever. We'll be brave about it.
So we've decided we're not going to talk about the general dross of shows at the moment that are on TV. We're going to give that a swerve, I think. Is that right?
I can't talk about them because I'll just come over extremely negative. So instead, I'm just going to sweep them all up into one umbrella conversation about why is there such crap on TV around boxing at present. Do
you think it's because it's diluted? It's just too diluted now. They can't make good fights.
100%. And I think I'm pondering on this, reflecting on this over the weekend a little bit, because I had my lad who's getting into boxing at the moment, and his mate who had his first amateur fight up in Bletchley at the weekend.
All right.
Liam Conroy was up there with his Ringcraft lot.
Okay.
And so yeah, he's my son's mate, and my son went along to watch. And then I had a sleepover back at mine in the evening. And my son's mate says, "Oh, should we watch the Chisora fight?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm watching it anyway. Come along and watch it." But around 2 rounds in, they were sat going, "This isn't very good, is it?" Like, I think they'd heard of Chisora. They'd heard the stories of Chisora. They saw Chisora. Don't get me wrong, like, it wasn't a terrible fight, was it? Like, it could have been a lot worse than what it was in the end. But if that's my point being, if that's your introduction as like 13-year-old boys to boxing, and that is the best that we can possibly offer up as a sport to two lads that are getting into it, and that's their kind of one of their first professional fights they've sat down and watched TV for, and they both lost interest by the 4th round. They were like,
you got two fighters over a combined age of virtually 80.
Yeah, never say it's really slow. It's really like they didn't use the word, but what again, it's ponderous, and like they're not very interesting to watch. And I was thinking, if that's the best that we can offer up as a sport on a Saturday night on the main boxing channel in the UK, and you can't hold the attention of two 13-year-old lads who want to sit and watch boxing, then it's not good enough. It's really not good enough. And whatever that reasoning is, as you say, is it that it's diluted? There's, Channel 5, there's BT, there's Sky Sports, there's DAZN. There's not enough talent to go round. That's abundantly clear. But we were told, you go back a couple of years, we were told by Eddie that he's got $1 billion. All these other ones, I would like promoters to come out. Here's my challenge for any promoter, to come out and be honest. And be honest about the fact that financially it's very difficult to put on good shows. Because you say it about small hall shows, and those financial realities that things are difficult to do, rather than bullshit and bluster about the fact that, you know, we've got this great stable, we're signing these young, just come out. I'd like promoters to come out. And if there is a problem financially, say it. Say that the broadcaster doesn't give us the money to make big inter-stable fights, big inter-promotional fights. Come out and say it, because instead what you get is like a lackadaisical approach to matchmaking, lazy matchmaking, like Pulev Chisora 2. And maybe that is because the money's just not there. But we get our expectations and hopes raised by promoters when actually what they're delivering is somewhere far lower. And I would appreciate it far more if they came out and just said, look, the financial reality is we can't do what people want us to do. And then we'd give them a break, I think. But instead, we're stuck with the bullshit and bluster of, you know, we're going to make these great fights. This is the greatest card this would have been on pay-per-view. This is better than any fight night you'd have ever got on. All this stuff. I'm not picking on Eddie. It's all the other promoters too. Just be honest. Just be realistic. Anyway, that's my rant.
Yeah, that's very fair. So let's move on to a card that is actually better than most TV cards have been in recent times.
Right. So this was, again, part of what I was reflecting on when I was looking over the other day at this card you've got coming up that we're going to come on to in a sec. Why on earth, when there are cards of this quality, and I'd also throw in the Phil Jeffries show up at the Stadium of Light at the weekend. It's coming up. He does his annual summer one up there, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Why are DAZN not picking up these? And I'll single out DAZN in this. You know, prior to this, I was saying I'm not pinning it on Eddie. It's down to everybody. But this, it is down to DAZN, because Channel 5 have got other programming they can put on. Sky Sports have got other programming they can put on. BT Sports have got other programming they can put on. DAZN don't. Why are DAZN not investing in high quality cards that are already made? So your card, for instance, if they turned up and said, here's, I don't know, 20 grand, that's sod all of their budget. Here's 20 grand and we'll pay for the production, put these cards on, and at least give those subscription payers something in return for their money. It's nonsensical not to do it. And not to come out in a contract with Goodwin Boxing, but just to say, let's have that card, that one card.
Yeah, because this is more competitive. This is much more competitive than we have seen on TV. Much more competitive. And I'm actually looking forward to this. I'd rather, forgetting the fact we're involved in it, I'd much rather go to this card than I would any of the TV cards I've been on in recent times.
100%.
Without a doubt.
100%. Right, but we're alluding to it. Should we go into what it is? July 23rd, down at York Hall.
Boxmania 2, and we're promoting in association with Lou DiBella, Hall of Fame promoter from the US, who's involved in the show as well. So that's another thing that's really, really great for the show, to have that involvement from Lou as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. So have you actually, like, from just a logistics perspective, do you have to speak to Lou in advance of all these things?
Yeah,
and get it all
you have
lined
to get it agreed, and obviously through Mickey Amu, who's been doing a lot of the toing and throwing, and Neil Sibley, the sports lawyer, the best sports lawyer in the business. So between everybody, they've sorted it all out, and it's helped us get a really, really cracking top of the bill. And so it's been really good. So we're working on it. We've got, as we stand now, we've got 10 fights, the maximum we can have on the show. We've got 4 undercard fights, and then 5 10-rounders and a 12-rounder. So let us start off. So we've got the debut of Sher Khan, super lightweight. He was due to debut on the 11th of June on that ill-fated night when the board doctor stopped the show because they weren't happy with the ambulance, and Sher was due to box on that show. So he's been able to get on a bigger show. So from Sher's point of view, I know he's really looking forward to making his debut on the show. Shocky Khan from Aylesbury, trained by Joshua Burnham. He's having his 3rd pro fight. Shocky's just renewed his contract with us, so he's in his 2nd 3-year stint with us managing him. So thanks, Tim, for renewing that. Really,
I like Shocky. He's good, lad.
Lovely kid. a really exciting prospect. I rate this kid highly. Joshua Gustav, I think he's going places. Really rate him. He fought Jordan Granham on his debut, and I was very, very impressed with Joshua, and looking forward to him. He's fights Josh Cook, very awkward southpaw. Jack Owen steps up to 6 rounds against Jordan Granham. So for Jack, this is a big step up. But those 4 lads, they'll be the first 4 fights of the night, which starts at 5 o'clock. So they'll be the first 4 fights on before we go into the 10-round and 12-round fights. But, you know, it's going to be a really packed arena. It's going to be a fantastic atmosphere. Tickets have sold fantastically well for the show. There's a few left, but not many. So we'll, you know, if those people watching this, if ever you go to a show at your call, this is the one to go to. But so they're the first 4. Then we move on to the 10-round fights.
But before we do that, right, again, I want to re-emphasize this point. There are 6 proper fights on this card.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time a TV show had 6 fights that I thought, you know, they're decent. Of those 6, I will say one of them I can confidently predict a winner in.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very cool.
Maybe, no, not even 2. One I can confidently predict a winner in, but it's still on paper a decent enough fight. I won't even say which one it is, but one of them I confidently can. But there are 6 fights on paper, 5 in reality, in my view, that are proper fights. That I go back to that point. What the hell are the DAZN subscribers getting for their $8.99 a month that couldn't be bolstered by a small drop in the ocean of that DAZN budget being put onto the Phil Jeffries show up in Sunderland, plus this show, give a relatively small amount of money, and you get this in return for your subscriber? It blows my mind that it doesn't happen. Blows my mind.
And this is, without my opinion, this is the best small hall show off TV that's been on in months and months. And I can't even remember one that's been as strong as this ever for years and years. So, you know, but we'll start off though, and I'll start off in order as they're going to fight. So we're going to get the 3-4 rounders, followed by Jack Owen in a 6-rounder. And then fight number 5 will be Ramez Mahmoud, Marcus Hodgson. It's a 10-round fight. We're not sure if there's going to be a belt attached to it. We're still working on that at the moment. Now, what's interesting is in Ramez's last fight, he fought Marcus Hodgson. Marcus stepped in as a short notice opponent, and scores were not as competitive as the fight was. The fight was really competitive. Marcus Hodgson was a good amateur, but he's actually really prepared for this. So you're going to get the best Marcus Hodgson there is against Ramez Mahmoud. This fight is going to be very exciting. Last time they were throwing uppercuts and everything at each other. It was a real fun fight.
Last time I'd never heard of Marcus Hodgson. I've got to be perfectly honest. I've never seen him fight. Never really heard of him. Saw his record, I think, was like 3 wins, no losses, 2 draws.
Yeah.
And I turned up and he had Sean Ells doing his corner, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I messaged Sean on my way home from the show and I said, that Marcus you've got's pretty handy and he's quite feisty. Like, God, he said, I didn't even know him. He said, I just stepped in to do his corner tonight. He said, but yeah, he can fight. But you could tell he wasn't really in that great a shape for it.
No, he wasn't, but he is now. And now I think it's going to be a cracking fight. We did try and get it made for the southern area, but they wouldn't have it. They just would not sanction it. They have their own committee. They make that decision.
Well, Marcus is coming off a loss, isn't he? I mean, his last fight.
He's only coming off a loss to Ramez. So yeah, I think if we'd been able to get a win into him, we'd have got it sanctioned. So it's fair enough. But we'll see whether we can get something attached to it. But if not, it will be a 10-round non-title fight. We're then going to move on to Adrian Martin, Dalton Miller in a 10-round eliminator fight. Because I manage both of these lads, I don't feel it's right for me to discuss the fight. I think this should be falling on you. So I'm going to pass it over to you, this fight.
I can't tell you how much I like this fight, right? Because so often you see people that maybe lose area title fights, and then they go back and do 2 or 3 kind of knockover jobs in the hope of getting back to it. Yeah. These two are going back out to go and earn another area title fight, not through fighting knockover jobs, but through the 2 lads that the one person they both lost to being Lewis Siret, that I said the one person they lost to, the last person they both lost to being Lewis Siret recently for both. So they're going out and fighting one another, presumably with the aim of the winner moves back to area title level. I think fair play to both, because I love it. It's I think Dalton, I don't think he'll punch hard enough to keep Adrian off of him. I think Adrian will move forward in too straighter lines to be able to capture Dalton too often. I think Dalton will be a bit slick for him. So I think it'll mesh quite well. And I think you'll have Dalton counter-punching a kind of forward marching Adrian. I'm going to go Adrian on points, but I think it'll be close.
Okay, so we're going to move on from Adrian to the first of the Southern Area title fights, and it will be in order of weights, lowest weight first.
Are you going to build it up?
It'll be the rematch of Jack Hughes, Paul Roberts.
Well, you want my input?
Yeah.
I'll start off with, I think I said it before, Jack Hughes, not just a boxer, but as a person, has grown on me so much over the last few years. The heart that he shows in the ring, he's such a tough lad. And you get the feeling that if he was, you could put him in, you could just pick him up out of the gym and drop him in with a middleweight, drop him in with like a light heavyweight, and he'd still put his bollocks on the line and scrap for his life. I've no doubt about it whatsoever. I admire his tenacity and his almost single-mindedness about what he does. That said, I thought he was lucky to get a draw last time out in this fight. I thought he was a little bit lucky to get that draw. I think he will win on points this time, and I think he'll do it relatively, not easily, but comfortably on points.
So for Jack Hughes, so we've got MESMER Mood to win on points.
Yep.
We've got
Jack Hughes.
Jack Hughes, and you've got Adrian Martin to...
I think Adrian points as well.
So it's 3 points. Okay. So we still got 3 big fights left, and we now move on to the Southern Area Super Lightweight title, where Denis Denikachev takes on ID Hill.
This one's the hardest one out of all of them to call for me. Partly because we haven't seen what level Denikachev can go to. We kind of have with ID a little bit. I think ID's experience will pay. I think maybe Dennis will be better in 18 to 24 months at that level. But brilliant, good on him for doing it now. I just think maybe that's going to pay come fight night. And I think ID... I'm going to go with a stoppage. I don't know why. I just haven't picked a stoppage yet. And it's going to be a long night for everyone there if they all go to points.
Okay. So
I'm not doing that. That's the one I'm least confident in by a long way as well.
Okay. Now we've got the cruiserweights. Daniel Mendes defending against Jamie Smith. Mark Little's coming to watch. And a bit of a news, there could be a comeback coming from Mark Little. He may be changing he could be coming back.
There shouldn't be. And I mean that with the greatest of respect to Mark.
No, I think he can still win I think Mark can win the Southern Area.
I always worry when somebody retires and then changes their mind, is that if they love the sport 100, then they're coming back at 90.
Yeah, but then I don't think he should. I will speak to him, but I don't think nobody should come back at 90, 100. I do agree with that. I think he was so disappointed by the result. He felt he felt robbed last time. That was his view, and I think that sickened him. And I think it took him a long time to absorb that. I don't think he was actually sickened with boxing. I think he was sickened with he really felt hard done by, and I think that's why what done him. So, but we'll see. But he's coming to watch it anyway. But it could. It originally, remember, this was originally going to be Daniel Mendes against Mark Little.
Yeah, and I love Mark to bits. I need to predicate all of that with I love Mark to bits. Like as a bloke, as a boxer, he's fantastic, and I love his story, and I've known him for years. I only would like to see him return if he has that.
No, I think that's fair. That's fair. So going back to the Daniel Mendes Jamie Smith fight.
I don't know, right? And the reason being, every time I watch Mendes, I want Mendes to put his foot down on the accelerator earlier than he ever does and more frequently than he ever does. And why he doesn't, I don't know. Whether that's mindset, whether that's physical stamina, whatever it is, I don't know. He's lovely to watch. He's slick, but I look at him and he's like the Hulk. He's like this beast of a man. I want him to enforce that on someone. I think Jamie Smith's going to push him back and make him uncomfortable. I'm going to go with Jamie Smith stoppage.
Okay. And then the final one of the night, the Commonwealth Eliminator, Joshua Wahab against Liam Dillon. So you've got the new Nigerian sensation, managed by Mickey Amu, Richard Commey's manager, doing the same route as Richard Commey coming to the UK, promoted by Lou DiBella. They're investing fortunes in this Joshua Wahab. An English champion, Liam Dillon, who I don't manage anymore. I do want to stress that at this stage. This is not a fight. We offered it to his current manager. This was nothing to, I want people to know this is nothing to do with me matching this fight. We're acting on Joshua Wahab's part, not for Liam Dillon. So I just want to get that across because Linus sent me a text and said, "What are you doing?" And I did have to say to Linus, "I'm not doing anything. I don't manage Liam anymore." So, you know, he's 22-0, 15 KOs. They think this kid's a world champion in waiting.
So what do you reckon?
I think, again, I always think when you get these sensational kids coming over, when Richard Commey fought here the first time, he wasn't that impressive. I remember him here the first time. It took him a run of fights in the UK before he was at his very best. And I think probably the same, but no, I think if he's remotely world class, he's going to look sensational. He hits. Apparently, he hits like a steam train. And Liam has not traditionally been. He's tough. Liam Dillon is a super tough man, but he does ship punches, and he shipped a lot from Yusuf Kamari, a few from Dennis Wahome. My God, if Joshua Wahab connects like they did, you would imagine he's going to feel these ones. But I think it's a really exciting fight because Liam Dillon is English level, and Wahab's first fight over here, who's, you know, DiBella's investing a lot of money. DiBella doesn't get things wrong. Mickey Amu has never got things wrong. The other two fighters that he's brought to the UK before was Commey, who won a world title, and Duke Meek, who was never in the same level as Commey, but he fought for a world title. So, you know, you think this kid's going the same way. And but I'm so looking forward to seeing that fight. So looking forward to seeing the fight.
And Shatty, you mentioned Duke Meeker. Give a mention to Matty Chanda, who gave him hell that night at York Hall.
Because that fight, when they had Duke Meeker over, I managed Matty Chanda, right? And I made that fight. And I actually felt, well, if I was managing Liam Dillon, maybe I'll have egg on my face and say, I wouldn't have put him in with Joshua Wahab. I wouldn't. He can hurt him. Duke Meeker wasn't a big puncher. Matty Chanda was really on a roll, and I thought Matty had an outside chance. And I think it was a split decision in the end. And that was a really good fight for Matty. He got well paid, and he nearly won against somebody who fought for a world title. So it shows what level he was at, Matty Chanda. But it also shows that Duke Meeker did improve after his first fight, after being in the UK, the first couple of fights in the UK. But this kid has got a reputation, an unbelievable reputation. Richard Commey said he gives him murders in sparring. Murders. and Richard Commey's a weight above. Richard Commey said this kid's world champion. So this is an exciting thing for people to see that night. I hope everybody that's there stays for this last fight, because you could be watching a former world champion make his debut. And Liam Dillon, to be honest, he's his manager's decision to take the fight. He's got the chance of a lifetime if he can pull it off. I don't think he does, but we'll see.
Yeah, my very uneducated analysis of it, purely based on some pad work that you'd sent me over of Wahab, is that he clearly hits hard. You can see there's an awful lot behind everything that he does. If he throws with that intent come fight night, Liam wins fights typically by being the aggressor, by walking forward, by trapping you on the ropes. He doesn't hit massively hard, does he, Liam? He's got what, 2 stoppages in 10 wins. Yeah. He's not a power puncher, but he's a work rate puncher, and he'll grind you down. He looks like a transformer. He's square, and he'll walk you down. Now, if that Wahab wallops like it looks like he does, then I think Liam is in for a very, very long night, or very short night if Wahab kind of takes it early. But yeah, gut feel. Look, if DeBella is putting a lot of money into this lad and flying him over to the UK, and they're confident enough, because he's only fought in Nigeria and Ghana, hasn't he? Mm-hmm. And his first fight outside of that is an English champion. That's quite impressive in and of itself. So they must know something and see something in him that says
they're already planning the next fight. Let's be honest. I'm being honest with you. They think this is a formality. They're planning the next fight. Yeah.
So, yeah, I haven't seen him enough. I've seen Liam plenty, but you'd have to go with the form book, wouldn't you? And, where the money kind of trail sits, which is behind Wahab.
But what's a good fight to end the night with? And I just hope people stay and watch it.
Yeah, Commonwealth Super Featherweight Eliminator. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Like, you don't get to see these lads come out of your Ghanas, your Nigerias that often before they end up. Someone like Bella and someone like Mickey Amu, they usually take those steps and move them over to America, don't they? So to actually get them in the UK at such an early point, it's a privilege, hopefully, to be able to see Joshua Wahab. Time will tell about that, but don't be there in 5 years' time and going, oh man, I could have seen him when he fought at York Hall against Liam Dillon. Get down there and see him.
Exactly. So it's an exciting. I've not looked forward to a boxing show of any description, whether it be TV, non-TV, as much as I look forward to this in many years.
Yeah, there were just so many, as I say, proper fights that one of them, as I say, I think is less so than the others. Yeah. But at least 5, and I might be wrong about the one that I'm picking, to be honest, but at least 5 of them that are quality. And I will re-stress for the 3rd time, why on earth are TV companies, especially ones without any other product, not getting involved in these things? It absolutely grinds me.
And what I'll do next week, I'll try and get some of the fighters who are fighting on the card all on at the same time. So perhaps we can do a ring talk next week with a lot of the fighters on here.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm just going to make up stories they've said about each other and wind them up.
Yeah, so we'll try and get a few of them on for next week. So see who wants to come on.
Nah, that'd be good. We'll, and then I'll just sit and tell them all that they've all said terrible things about each other. Just make it up. Fine. It's what IFL do.
All right, brilliant. Well, we'll be back next week then, and we'll get as many boxes on as we can.
And then go out, get your ticket for July 23rd. Everything we've just talked about, it will be that and more. So go out and get a ticket now.
Brilliant.
Right. Anyway, that's the end of Ring Talk.